told me I wasn't welcome. She, my mother-in-law, looked me in the eye and declared, "You're not invited to dinner." The room went silent, as if her words were final, as if they carried the authority to define my worth. But I smiled. No, I laughed. No. Not out of disrespect, but from a deeper knowing that no one can dismiss you unless you agree with them. I straightened my back, walked past their glares, and approached the one who truly had the power, the owner of the place. With full confidence, I said, "May I have a seat?" And he, recognizing something beyond the drama, offered me one. Because strength doesn't come from being accepted by others. It comes from standing in your own dignity. Life will present doors that seem locked to you, not to keep you out, but to see if you'll knock louder or find another way in. I chose not to beg, not to sulk, not to fight. I chose to rise above it all. When someone tries to ban you from a table, remember this: you don't need their seat when you're capable of building your own. And sometimes the owner of the house will see your value before those who thought they could keep you outside. Keep walking, keep rising, keep laughing in the face of smallness. You were never meant to shrink to fit a table that was never built for your greatness. Rejection may seem like the end, but it is often a redirection, a divine detour cloaked in disappointment. Too many people give up when the front door slams shut, not realizing that opportunity rarely makes a grand entrance. It slips in quietly from behind, waiting to be noticed by those bold enough to keep moving. When you're denied a seat, denied approval, or denied recognition, don't see it as failure. See it as guidance. The universe has a peculiar way of pushing us out of what we don't need and into what we were truly meant for. Often, the closed door was just a distraction, keeping you from something better waiting in the shadows. The back door, less obvious, less glamorous, is reserved for those with persistence, vision, and faith. So the next time you're shut out, smile. It may just mean you're moments away from stepping into something greater than you imagined. Every word spoken against you, every attempt to limit you, is powerless until you believe it. The only true authority over your future is the belief you hold in your own mind. People may try to reject you, label you, or confine you within the smallness of their perception, but their verdict only has weight if you choose to carry it. Your destiny is not written by the opinions of others. It is authored by your intention, your resilience, and your unwavering decision to rise. When someone tells you that you don't belong, that you can't succeed, or that you're not worthy, remember, those are their limits, not yours. The moment you internalize their judgment, you forfeit your power. But when you stand firm, with conviction burning in your spirit, their words fade into background noise. You were born with a purpose, and no one, no title, no role, not even family, has the power to erase that truth unless you let them. Your destiny is yours alone. Protect it, believe in it, and never hand it over to those who lack the vision to see it. To laugh, not in mockery, but in mastery, when judgment is hurled at you, is to prove that you are no longer a prisoner of opinion. It is the signature of one who has risen above the battlefield of external approval and found peace in inner authority. When people try to shame you, belittle you, or corner you with their limited thinking, most react in fear or silence. But the one who laughs, that person is untouchable, not because they don't feel, but because they refuse to surrender their power. It takes immense mental discipline to smile through scorn and remain rooted in self-worth. That laugh is not weakness, it is triumph. It says, I know who I am, and your judgment cannot reach me. To control your mind is to guard your emotional climate and choose your response rather than be pulled into reaction. When you own your thoughts, you own your future, and no amount of gossip, insult, or rejection can alter that. The laugh then becomes a statement, you don't get to define me. I already have. There comes a powerful shift in your life when you stop waiting for others to validate your dreams, approve your choices, or open doors for you. That moment, when you finally recognize your value, is when the need for permission dissolves. You no longer shrink yourself to fit into spaces that were never meant to contain your greatness. You no longer beg for seats at tables where your presence was always a threat, not a welcome. When you know your worth, you don't chase approval. You command respect. Not through force, but through certainty. You walk into rooms with your head held high, not because they allowed you in, but because you decided you belong. Those who once ignored you will wonder what changed, but it wasn't the world, it was you. You saw a Halid. Rejection is not a wall, it's a signpost pointing you towards something better, if you're willing to see it that way. Most people hear no and stop. They take it as a verdict, a failure, or a dead end. But those who succeed understand a deeper truth. Every denial holds hidden direction, and often divine redirection. A no might be the protection you didn't know you needed, or the push that sends you on a path towards something far greater than what you originally asked for. But this treasure within rejection only reveals itself to the brave, the ones who keep moving forward when it's easier to give up, the ones who trust their vision even when the world says otherwise. The seed of a greater yes lies dormant in every disappointment, waiting to be watered by persistence and belief. So when the door closes, don't collapse. Look for the window. Look for the unseen blessing, because if you have the courage to claim it, every no can become the very thing that leads you to everything you've ever desired. So many people wait to be chosen, to be acknowledged, to be invited before they take action. They believe that significance comes from someone else's approval. But true power never waits for permission. It acts. The person who rises is not the one who is always welcomed, but the one who dares to walk in when no one opened the door. Life doesn't reward those who sit silently, hoping to be noticed. It rewards those bold enough to believe they belong, even when others try to exclude them. Your strength isn't defined by how often you're invited. It's revealed in how often you show up uninvited, with confidence, with courage, with purpose. When you decide to stand in your own worth, the room changes, because energy like that commands attention. Let others play by the rules of fear and formality. You play by the laws of destiny. You don't need the invitation. You are the reason the table matters in the first place. In a world obsessed with status and validation, most people wait to be acknowledged before they act. But confidence, genuine, quiet confidence, has a presence that cannot be ignored. When you walk into a room without a title, without an invitation, yet with the certainty of your worth, those who truly hold power. Why? Because confidence speaks a language that status cannot. It tells the owner of the table, I'm not here to take. I'm here because I already know I belong. And the truth is, real power isn't threatened by confidence. It's drawn to it. The host of the space, the leader, the decision maker, they often look past those clamoring for attention and see the one who stands secure in silence. That uninvited guest who walks in with dignity and calm assurance often ends up being the one who belongs most, because what opens doors isn't noise, it's presence. And presence is born from inner certainty, not external permission. When you hold on to resentment, you unknowingly chain yourself to the very thing or person that tried to diminish you. It drains your energy, clouds your judgment, and keeps you stuck in a cycle of emotional debt, reliving what should have been released. Resentment is a reaction, a wound that festers when left unhealed. But self-respect? Self-respect is a response. It doesn't need revenge. It doesn't seek validation. It simply says, I know who I am, and I refuse to shrink because of how you treated me. Self-respect is calm, strong, and silent. It walks away without anger and stands tall without applause, while resentment keeps you small. Self-respect lifts you above the situation and reminds you of your power. You cannot build a strong future on the shaky ground of bitterness, but with self-respect as your foundation, you rise, untouched, unshaken, and unbothered. Let go of resentment, not because they deserve forgiveness, but because you deserve freedom. There will always be people who feel threatened by your growth, your confidence, or your dreams, because your light reminds them of the darkness they've accepted. They'll try to continue with criticism, sarcasm, or exclusion, not because you're doing something wrong, because your expansion makes. And too often, we make ourselves smaller to stay accepted, to keep the peace, or to avoid judgment. But the moment you stop shrinking to fit their comfort, you begin to rise. You rise into the fullness of who you are, unapologetically. You stop editing your truth to keep others at ease. You stop dulling your shine just to make others feel better in their own shadows. Rising above small minds isn't about arrogance. It's about refusing to betray your own potential. Growth requires space, and not everyone is willing to give it. So give it to yourself, because when you choose to stop fitting in, you begin to stand out. And that's where real impact begins. The world may throw obstacles in your path, delays, denials, disappointments, but none of these can stop the person who has made an unshakable decision. Talk loud,